You are listening to the SDSU Football Podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your hosts Andre Hagverdian and Paul Garrison. Welcome, listeners, to another episode of the SDSU Football Podcast. I am Andre Hagverdian, and I'm joined, as always, by Paul Garrison. Today's episode, we have interviews with two Aztec senior leaders and stars. First up is Patrick McMorris, Aztec safety. Paul did that interview solo as I was unable to make it due to a prior commitment. Paul did a great job with that one. And then both Paul and I had a chance to speak with Jordan Byrd. So that we will also play that one for you. Hope you enjoy it. Our first special guest is senior safety Patrick McMorris, who was named first team All-Mountain West in 2021 in his first year as a starter at the Aztec safety position. He led San Diego State with 90 tackles and 4 interceptions last year, while adding 2.5 tackles for loss and 9 pass breakups.
Aztec Nation, I want to welcome Patrick McMorris to the SDSU Football Podcast. Pat, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good, man. Thank you for being a guest and coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So take us back, man. You played some as a true freshman on special teams, but as a sophomore, man, you got one start against Nevada. What do you remember about, that game and then preparing you as you're, moving forward?
Man, the most thing I remember is just kind of being nervous, first college game starting. I was told beginning of the week, so I had that week to prepare. Just being in a situation, it's a away game in Nevada. Even though there was no FAD and COVID, it was just it was definitely a different feeling going to that game. I felt like set me up confidence-wise to perform last year.
So you obviously replaced Dwayne Johnson for that game. You had a family emergency. What did you learn from him in the position and just that you've been able to take into your game?
Man, I learned practically, I want to say majority of the things I know is just from him, watching him during practice and games, watching him on film. Just a lot of things. Just the position really, because this is a different position than what I was used to playing in high school. So coming in as a freshman, having to learn the position, he definitely took me under his wing and just kind of just said, "Hey, man, just pay attention to me, do these things, and you'll be just fine." So that was another thing that helped me just kind of smoothly just move in and be confident within my position.
So now going back to spring after DJ left, you were a question mark for about a week. And then after about a week, the coach says, "No, we got a player here. This guy is going to be, we're fine. We're not worried about our Aztec position." So what was your mindset, coming back into spring camp, only one start, you're replacing an NFL player. What was your mindset going in, and how were you able to so quickly cement yourself into that position?
Like I said, I've been watching DJ. I've been, talking to him, watching film, and just really applying myself to learn position as best as possible, as well as kind of just knowing what everybody else is doing a little bit. Definitely the back five, understanding what we're doing back there. Just loving to compete. So just not knowing that I'll have that starting position fueled me more to just better myself.
No, and you did that, man. Not only did you better yourself and get the starting role, man, but you were a star last year. First team, all conference, led the team 79 tackles, in the center of so many different plays that people can look back on and think about. But take us through that year, first year as a starter, and then all the success that you were able to have.
Just shit. Well, first of all, just being blessed to be healthy throughout the whole season. Little dings here and there, but being able to just play all throughout those games. It was definitely, like I said, it was I had that one start my sophomore season, and then going into my junior season, there's still some question marks because now everything's on you. Everybody's relying on you to set down position because Dwayne did such a good job prior to me doing it. Yeah, just go out there and just try my best and just trying to run to the ball and just do my job within the defense, knowing that I have, had Cam Thomas up front, Keyshawn, Jonah, having those guys up front kind of just made it as well easy for me to just do my job, especially with my linebackers as well. Alubi, Caden, Alecki, all those guys. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like as the year went on and you became more comfortable in the position, not that you were ever uncomfortable, but it seemed like you started to make plays that just were outside of the script, outside of, exactly what I'm thinking of Boise State and the interception that you had on the sideline where you just went and made a play. How does that comfort level allow that instinctiveness that you have to come out?
Well, first, the comfort level is just kind of, like you said, just playing, continuously playing, and then just being told by my coaches, just play, just do you, and then kind of like not trying to be, Superman, trying to do everything, just doing my job. So, like you talk about that interception versus Boise, it was kind of a broken play. Noah Tumblin had to run with his guy off the motion, and then me noticing that, I'm like, okay, he's probably gonna be open, and then me just being in my cover 2 zone, just playing that, and then making a play on the ball. So just being comfortable, having my coach's confidence within me to make those plays.
Head coach Brady Hoke, he said that this spring he's already seen signs of you even being better. What areas do you think you've improved upon throughout the spring camp?
Definitely being more vocal. Now coming up on my 4th year, I have the coaches as well as the players having to look up at me just because, I did such a good job last year, and now I'm considered, senior now, having to come into that role of being more of a vocal leader and just kind of getting people on the right track, just as a team, especially because we're a young team. That's one thing I feel like I've improved throughout spring. I guess just another thing is just running around, being more confident, knowing the defense well enough to just kind of just get everybody on track. Like I said, I have to be more of a leader, more vocal. So kind of get everybody on track, the back 5, and you got those front 4. So just having those guys, feel like I've definitely improved in that area.
So do you anticipate, given that it is your 2nd year as a starter, your role changing in the way Coach Maddox calls it? Are you seeing any of, just the trust that develops where he's calling your number more? He's, trying to funnel things to where you make plays, or do you expect your role to change at all as a 2nd year as a starter compared to the first?
I don't think it'll change significantly. Definitely probably blitz here and there, especially just for me. But me just kind of doing the same thing and just letting the coaches figure out and game plan throughout the season. Because I know we had Trent, running like special plays and everything because he was such a good player, good, fast blitzer, and he just shot the gap. So hopefully maybe I can get maybe one of those. But I feel like just leading it all to Coach Maddox and the defensive staff to game plan, I feel like I just step in that position if they need.
No doubt. The coaches have talked about like this time after spring and into fall camp as being the time when players improve the most. Mm-hmm. And every player that I've said that, they're like, yeah, obviously. I don't know that that's like completely a known thing. What is it about this time that makes it so crucial for player development?
Now it's kind of just go time, right? There's not much left for guys to make mistakes. So everybody's on top of it. We're now looking at film, for our opponents, Arizona, that's Idaho State, that's Utah, just that. And then just guys being thrown in to their position and then having the coaches evaluate them. So I feel like just everybody's more on top of it and more just eager to compete against each other for a spot. That's what you want to do, right? You want to play, you want to come here and play. So yeah, everybody just wants to compete.
So you're saying that because there's maybe a clearer picture on what it is that the coaching staff is looking for, their role on the team, that they're able to kind of more like attack that better.
Yeah, no, yeah, most definitely.
Okay. So Tyler Favors, Chance Bell, we had them on the show, and they were telling us about the importance of, the QBs, wide receivers, running backs, building chemistry during this part of the season because they can run routes together, etc. Are there ways that the defense can also gain chemistry during like the summertime?
Yeah, most definitely. I know for the back five because we're all just kind of do the same thing. Especially like, let's say we're just working on our man coverage skills. I know we've definitely gone out upon ourselves to just do that and work out ourselves. But I feel like it's just like it's for the offense, chemistry, that's definitely a big thing. For the defense, it's kind of a little separate. Like you get, what I'm saying? We have our own calls. The DBs know their own calls. Linebackers got their blitzes and their coverages. And then the D linemen got their own stunts and everything. So it's a little more separate, but definitely, like with practice, with everything, communication's key on defense. So like without that, we're just all over the place. So I feel like our chemistry comes through that, where we're communicating and we're understanding what everybody else is doing. Is being able to like trust each other, if that's just running to the ball, if that's making plays and just celebrating with each other. I feel like that's where our chemistry comes in. And that's definitely a big part of our defense.
So then looking ahead to yourself, what are some areas that you're looking to improve individually?
Definitely man coverage. I feel like that's probably my biggest weakness. Being able to play a little faster and then be able to read, run first, or be able to read, run faster or pass faster. And then, like I said, just playing faster. If it's a run, shooting the gap. If it's pass, dropping my coverage. I feel like those are my two things I'm focused more on this season.
You have a great pinned tweet on your social media and some pictures from the Frisco Bowl. I think you're having a smoothie, enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
There's a good line that says, "I remember a time when my name didn't get mentioned." That's your pinned tweet. What does that quote mean to you, and why is that significant for you?
Coming from the high school I came from in Santa Ana, practically, if you hear Santa Ana, you're probably thinking of Mater Dei and everything. You're not thinking about the high schools I attended, if that was Godinez or Santa Ana High School. So that tweet was just kind of like going into my senior season of high school. I had 0 offers, and I just wasn't sure if I was going to Division I. So it's great to finally have all my work that I put in those past 3 years, being named on Mountain West, getting honors such as Mountain Defensive Player of the Year and things like that. It's definitely nice to, hear my name in the conversation.
No question. So take us back a little bit to Santa Ana High School. I don't know if everyone knows this, but you were an amazing running back.
Yeah, that was my main position. But I guess I got recruited mainly to play safety because I was just able to play on both sides of the ball. But yeah, no, I was definitely more of a running back throughout high school and in my younger years. So it's definitely nice to have a transition from offense to defense in college, because now you're learning a whole different position and you're more invested because it's new to you. You're just learning a new skill. But yeah, no, high school was definitely fun. Running back, that was definitely my first love. But now I'd rather hit someone than get hit. So that's what I always tell myself.
Yeah, first love is an understatement. 1,800 yards, 23 touchdowns. I mean, like you were a star, man. But you mentioned earlier that the older players, Dwayne in particular, taking you under his wing. We had an incoming freshman, Max Garrison, who was a star running back in high school, and he's making the transition to safety. What advice would you give him about switching sides of the ball?
Advice for him, I'd say, just be confident in yourself. You're definitely, as a running back, you're definitely athletic to transition from offense to defense, and then just being able just to play fast. And here at San Diego State, our motto is just run to the ball and keep them out the end zone, right? So just doing those things, listening to the coach, just being a ball player, just being you, really.
And speaking about transitioning from offense to defense, Jalen made that switch this year. I mean, what is your evaluation of him? And obviously they decided to put him at the same position that you're at.
Jalen, he's definitely a good fit for the asset position. Transitioning from offense to defense, like I said, you have to be confident in yourself. And I feel like beginning he was a little shy to go and put his nose on anything, but definitely throughout the spring he's definitely grown, and I feel like he's definitely going to be able to play at the position once he gets used to playing defense, because it's him as a quarterback is different than running back going to safety. So, but I feel like he's definitely made a good long strides because he can cover, and then when he wants to hit, he's going to hit something. So, Jalen, he's definitely a player that will play on defense. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about some of the other people in the secondary. You mentioned it before, but you lose Taylor Hawkins, you lose Trenton Thompson. So who's ready to step into those roles, and who's impressed you in camp?
Darius Barfield. He's definitely, he played boundary last year, and we're fitting him in a field warrior position because before he was a safety, he was a corner, so he definitely can cover, right? Yes, Darius definitely can play. Guys like Trent and Taylor are definitely guys are definitely hard to imitate, just because both those guys fast. They love to play the game. So it's kind of hard to replace those guys. But I feel like another guy is Kyron White. Loves the game. He's loud. He plays fast. Knows what he's doing. So he's definitely a guy that's going to come in and play. Corner wise, we rotate a lot of corners in. We have Noah Tumblin. We have Noah Avenger. Des Malone definitely has made some big strides in his coverage skills, and that was seen throughout spring. So he's definitely going to be on the field this season. And then CJ Baskerville, of course, coming as a freshman, filling in for Sedari's spot when he got injured. So we have a lot of guys that definitely are going to be getting rotated in and playing and be getting evaluated by the coaches. So it's definitely going to be an interesting season to see who's playing or who's starting every week.
No doubt. I think when the couple of times that I was able to watch you guys in practice, Sedari's made plays like every single time.
Yeah.
Was he that kind of a playmaker through the whole time?
Yeah, no, he's a smart player. So he's going to know the concept majority of the time. He's got, like I said, he's a corner, so he's gonna cover you one-on-one, and he's definitely gonna make plays. I remember one play in the spring game. He was on the opposite team of me, so I'm on the sideline watching them on defense, and I'm like, "Don't run a slant," because he knows it's coming. Darius starts off an outside leverage and then moves in inside leverage and breaks on the ball, and then that's the pick that he got where he tipped it and picked it in the end zone. I'm like, "Oh man!" But yeah, no, so Darius is definitely a playmaker.
So you mentioned Trenton Hawk, and not just what they did on the field, but just their leadership. And so how does the back five, how do you replace that leadership, and what role are you going to have in doing that?
Both guys were vocal. They knew what they were doing. Playing at San Diego State for those 6 years. Those guys understood a lot, and just having them, if you need someone to talk to or understand something, they definitely were the guys to talk to try to replace that. But like I said, for me, I've been trying to be more vocal, definitely as a person as in the middle of the defense, getting the calls to either side of the field. So I feel like that's our biggest aspect. We just have to be able to communicate and be loud and make sure everybody's getting their calls, because if we don't, there's gonna be a touchdown waiting to happen.
Last football related question. What is Coach Kyle Hogue like as a coach?
I mean, man, when you think of a coach, you think of him. He's serious when need be, and then we'll crack a joke out of nowhere. But he's definitely a very technical coach, which I really like. So if we're not 6 yards or inside leverage or the right foot's up, he's going to get on us. So having just a person like that and a coach like that to be on you always, just keep you humble in a sense, right? Because he's like I say, he's gonna get on you. Even if you make a play, he's gonna be like, okay, good, and then he's gonna be like, but what foot was up, So definitely a great coach to have.
Awesome. So that was Terrific. Are you ready for some non-football related rapid fire questions?
Okay, yeah.
All right, man. So what's your favorite food?
Pizza.
And what is on this pizza?
Okay, let's go pepperoni and bacon bites.
Bacon bites. Oh, see,
Yeah.
that's a unique one. Where did that come from?
Wish I could tell you just
That you like it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess probably like ordering a Meat Lovers. That's probably where it came from, I'm assuming.
Oh, that's great. What is your favorite musical group or artist?
Musical group or artist? Artist, I would have to say, I won't mess this up. I'll probably say, man, hold on. It's not rapid, but I gotta look. I don't, that's hard. My favorite artist would probably have to be Tupac, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Now that's you took a minute to make sure you got the right one. So what is it about Tupac that speaks to you?
You can just listen to him whenever, really. It took me a long time because I was just thinking about like all the artists I've been listening to lately, and all those guys are cool and all, but when I want to go back, I'll always enjoy some Tupac. Anytime it's pregame, if that's just laying down or something. So that's why I chose that.
Awesome. How about your favorite TV show or movie?
Ooh, TV show or movie? Movie, I'd have to say probably one of the Marvel movies. I want to say Black Panther. That's one of my favorite out of all those that series. And then TV show, I'd have to say Blacklist. Have you seen that? Blacklist on Netflix. That'd be mine.
Okay, no. I'll have to check it out. Who's your favorite athlete, either currently or actually make it even harder? Who's your current favorite New York Giant?
Say again? Who's
your current favorite New York Giant?
New York Giants.
Yeah, there's a lot of former Aztecs there, man.
Trent, man.
Okay, see, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you hear that? He talked all that good stuff about you earlier, but then look what happens. But who's your favorite athlete, maybe growing up or something like that?
Favorite athlete growing up? Definitely Kobe Bryant.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, 100%. Just mentality, the way he played the game, the way he carried himself, and the way he practiced. Definitely a guy that I looked up to growing up and still do.
Terrific. What about your favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby? Play video games.
What do you play?
I play, of course, you play the Call of Duty, but I've been playing Rocket League and Overwatch, just games like that. Just to buy time or just hop on with friends.
What's your kill record on Call of Duty?
You talking about Warzone?
I am.
Okay, man, it's not much. I'm not a great player. Probably, I want to say definitely double digits, 15, 16.
Oh, that's solid. Yeah. That's solid.
Yeah, that's a couple years ago now. I haven't played in a minute. But yeah, definitely like 15 or 16.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the interview. It was absolutely fantastic, and just look forward to Snapdragon Stadium and getting to watch you run around out there.
Yeah, appreciate you for having me again. Yeah, like you said, Snapdragon Stadium. Can't wait to be out there. New stadium, having family there. Should be interesting.
No doubt. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye.
Our second special guest is senior running back Jordan Byrd, who has rushed for 963 yards and 9 touchdowns in his Aztec career. Byrd has also returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns and was named first team All-Mountain West in 2021 as a kick returner. We want to welcome Jordan Byrd to the SDSU Football Podcast. How are you doing today, Jordan?
Good. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you taking the time. So last year was your senior season. You had a senior day ceremony in the last regular season game, but you decided to return for one more year with the exemption. Why did you make that choice?
I feel like the job wasn't finished. We went to the championship, but we ended up losing. I just wanted to come back, get us another championship. we've been fighting for that since I've been here, and we've been on 21 for a while. We're trying to win 22. You know, I feel like we're all sick of saying 21. So I am too. So we're glad to come back and try to win us a championship.
How much of a factor did the new stadium have in your decision? Did it play a factor?
I mean, are you talking about like when we played in Carson? Oh yeah. That's going to be a big changer. You know, a lot of fans are going to be coming out. That was one of the top keys of a game, especially in a home game. Having fans out there. You know, we love to have them out there. Glad the games are going to be back in San Diego. I feel like that's going to be wonderful for us. So
you've had a couple products that you've put out on social media. Were those NIL deals, and what has that process been like for you?
Yeah, those are NIL deals. You know, it's been going good. I just got one in New Mexico with Athlete Ready. It's a training facility. You know, I've been working with them since I was in high school. I've been elementary. Middle school. I was working with them. Yeah, and it's really good that they're giving back as well. You know, I've been with them for a while now, so it's really cool to have that.
So this Sunday, right? You're hosting the Jordan Byrd training camp?
Yeah. So I'm in New Mexico right now. So I'm having a camp for K through 12. Hosting it with the Gladiators. We're having a little collaboration. The Gladiators are an arena football team here in New Mexico. So they're allowing me to use their field too as well. So it's going to be really cool and excited to see all the kids out there having fun.
Now, I mean, I'm talking to, different pro players or whatever. I mean, being able to have their own camp back home is kind of like a dream. Is this the first year? Have you done this before? Or I mean, what's the process of it?
It's my first year. You know, I've been trying to do this for months now. It's a long process, a big process. It's really nice to give back to my community. You know, I feel like New Mexico always gets looked over. We got Texas, Arizona, stuff around us, but we do have athletes out here too. So just going out, giving back to the community is one thing I wanted to do.
So then you're listed at two of the top spots on the depth chart, two of the running back spots. Do you have a preference on where you play?
Doesn't matter to me. As long as I get the ball and I can show what I could do, that's one thing I like to do. I know I've been playing a lot of special teams. You know, I love playing special teams. I love getting the offense going, getting the momentum going. That's one thing I like to do is getting the momentum, and I feel like last year I did a good job at getting the offense in good position. I feel like I got to carry that on to this year as well.
In the NFL, players of your size are not necessarily seen as featured every down backs. Does that give you more incentive to be more involved in the passing game offensively?
Oh yeah. At first, before I even came to San Diego State, I was a wide receiver as well. So getting to doing different positions really gets a look out for me. It gets an eye out that I can play more than just one position as well.
Yeah, if there was a recurring theme to some of my game previews last year, that could be potentially critical of the game plan was not using the running backs more in the passing game, especially you because of your ability in open space and your speed. We've talked to some coaches and some players in the spring, and they've talked about how the running backs are going to be more involved in the passing game. Is that something you think that's going to get unlocked in 2022?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I know we got a quarterback, he's going to be really good for us. He's going to get the ball around, especially with his feet as well. He's going to be running as well. I feel like we have all our skilled positions are all speed. We're all fast and stuff. So that's what's really going to help us get the ball moving around. Get a lot off the defense as well. So that's one thing we're going to do is excel in offense this year.
We had Chance Bell on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he mentioned about like the running backs running routes with the wide receivers. And how has that been going for you this offseason? And then do you feel like you're a threat to catch passes at every level of the field?
Oh, yeah. I definitely feel like even me and Chance, we're both feel like we're a threat catching the ball. Just getting us all with the ball, working with the wide receivers, getting good connection with the quarterback. That's what's really going to help us this year. We got a new guy coming in, but I feel like we all have that good connection that it feels like he's been here forever. Just having that good connection with him and the wide receivers, even all the offensive linemen too. We're all in this together. So I feel like all of us having a good connection is really going to give us a good season this year.
So tell us more about Braxton Burmeister. I mean, what does he bring to the position? And I mean, you said you guys have already developed really good chemistry, but just expound on that a little more, please.
Yeah, everybody loves. I feel like everybody loves him on the team. He came in. He was a really talkative guy, but we got that out of him. So he's a really good guy outside of football as well. That's what's really good about having him on the team. You can tell that he really wants to play. He really wants to excel in what he's doing right now, and I feel like he's going to be a good fit for our team.
So we've talked to a lot of people in the spring. We've heard about the blazing speed of a TJ Sullivan and Josh Nicholson. Noah Tumblin was on the episode, our last episode. He said he's the fastest corner along with Dallas Branch. So who really is the fastest player on the team?
we all have speed. I wouldn't go off of gashers that we do during winter and fall and stuff, but it's kind of hard to tell. We're still debating on it. Everybody keeps saying to me, but I don't know. We got some fast kids on the team.
So there haven't been any 40-yard dash competitions in practice?
Nah, we've talked about it. I know Cam Davis and Josh raced the other during spring, and it was a good little race. So I'm too old now, so they're young.
Who won that race? Are you allowed to tell?
Josh did. Josh won the race, yeah. But right. they keep trying to get me out there, but I keep telling them those are some young kids. I'm getting old now.
Jeff Horton, your running back coach. What is he like as a position coach to play for?
Oh, he's wonderful. When I first came in, he treated me like I was his son. That's one thing I like about what he did with his players. It feels like you can play. He'll coach you, but he'll let you play. I know some coaches would change a lot of stuff about what you're doing, but he knows he picked us up for a reason. He knows that we have abilities and what we can do on the field, and he just coaches us in little things that we need to learn about, like from blocking to running the ball and what we need to see on the offense or how the defense is changing around and stuff. I feel like he's really done a great job on doing that for us, especially the young guys. More like me and Chance, he understands that we've been in the game. We have a lot of skin in the game. So he feels like we know what we have to do, and he wants us to help as well.
This week there was reports that SDSU added a transfer running back from USC. Now they also talked, whether that's happens with that or not, but there's two highly recruited, highly rated running backs, freshmen coming in. You add that to the mix of all the people who are already on the roster, and here we are, deja vu again. The running back room is loaded, just like it's been every year that you've played. So with that talent comes a lot of competition, right? How has the running back room stayed together in the midst of all of the fierce competition?
It's just a brotherhood. We all hang out outside of football as well. That's what we really needed to do. That's how you get a good connection with your teammates, just hanging out outside of football, getting to know them. I feel like the running back group has really done that, going out to eat with Coach Horton, even without Coach Horton, we always go out with just ourselves, just having fun. We're all family, we're all human, we're all going to be competing for a position, but outside of football, we're a brotherhood.
So tell me more about that. I mean, how has Coach Horton helped to facilitate that kind of brotherhood and family atmosphere that you're describing?
Just times that we have to take stuff serious is when we take stuff serious. But when it's a joking time, having fun, we really take the time to just have fun together. During football practice, we're always all to get together, and just being around each other is one thing that really helped us out on having that good connection. We know who plays, we know who's gonna get the ball sometimes, but we all love each other.
And so then you're part of the senior leadership group for a second time. How does that? Yeah. How does that? How is I guess your approach to the second time around? How is it different, and how is it the same?
We had a lot to fix last year. I know we had a 12-4 or 12-2 season, but I feel like the seniors want to lead the team. I feel like we want to take leadership of showing that we're a players team instead of a coaches team, because players play, coaches coach. So that's what we've been leading on to. So I feel like I became more of a leader of speaking out as well. So I'm not really a big speaker, but helping other kids out, just getting them confident in what we're doing.
We talked about Snapdragon Stadium, obviously opening up the first game against Arizona. It was announced yesterday that first game is going to be at 12:30 in the afternoon on CBS, the main network. Could the game get even more exciting by being on national television and at a time where everybody in the country is able to watch it? So how does that get you guys even more excited for it?
I mean, it should get the young guys excited for sure. You know, a lot of them haven't had that opportunity yet to play in front of national TV. Like the older guys, we know what we have to do out there. We know how the game's going to be. We're gonna play. We're gonna have fun and come out with a victory. That's one thing we want to do. But I feel like it's more for the younger guys to really feel that national TV level, and it's going to be really good for us, even for the fans and everything. Glad to have them back out.
Were you part of the senior group that took a tour of the stadium about a month ago, and what were your initial thoughts?
Oh, it was beautiful. You know, it wasn't really done. We couldn't really see the locker room, but it was beautiful. I think the fans, everyone's going to love it. It's a nice stadium.
Last football-related question. We talked about obviously being more involved in the passing game, but is there anything else specifically as a running back you're working on in the offseason to improve?
More on my weight. I've been trying to get my weight up. That's one thing I've been working on. I feel like it's really has helped me feel more stronger, faster at the size I am right now. I'm trying to get a little bit bigger, but just from that, I feel like it's going to help me out during the season. And just staying injury-free, that's one thing. I've been good with that. That's one thing that has always been in my head is staying injury-free.
How much weight have you put on, and you have a goal, a weight that you want to play at?
My goal is to play at 180. I've been at 170, 175 right now. I feel like that's a good weight for me, but I know I can get even bigger than that. So it feels good where I'm at now.
That was great, man. You ready for some non-football related questions?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Let's do it, man. What's your favorite food?
Man, I love food. I'd probably say my favorite food would be steak. I love steak.
And how do you like your steak?
Medium well. Everybody clowns me for having medium well steak, but
I was gonna say
just go medium. But I love medium well. Just a little bit of pink.
I was gonna say I don't know if you can taste it if it's medium well, man.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, give me a dish from New Mexico that maybe you know us California guys we wouldn't know about.
One thing you guys probably wouldn't know is green chili stew. That's my mom makes it all the time. Probably don't know what it is. It's a green chili that's made in New Mexico. It's hatched in New Mexico. It's like almost like a soup, but it has meat, green chilies, and you eat it with the tortillas and potatoes. It's delicious.
No, it sounds.
I might have to make it for the team one time and let them try it out, but it's delicious.
What about your favorite movie or TV show?
Probably my favorite TV show would probably be Money Heist. That was one of my favorites on Netflix. Even though it wasn't in English, it still was one of my favorite shows. Movies, I'm really Avengers guy, but I wouldn't know which one because I love all the movies. So those are my favorite.
Okay.
Breaking Bad obviously took place in Mexico. Was that obviously there was a popular show, but was that like even crazier because it took place in New Mexico for New Mexico?
Oh, it was really
people?
Yeah, it was really nice. Some of my friends were actually in the show, and just seeing them on there was really crazy. But even like the places that you eat at, they have like signs like, "Oh, this is where Breaking Bad was," and stuff like that. It's really cool to use New Mexico as that. And I think Batman was filmed here too. Some of the Batmans were filmed here, not the new one, but the old ones.
What about your favorite musical artist or group?
I'm an R&B guy. One person I like is a lot of people don't really know him is Brandon Banks. He's really one of my favorites. He's coming out of I think Compton, California. So that's one of my favorite R&B singers.
Okay. Who's your favorite professional athlete, either now or back in the day?
Yeah, Cam Newton was one of my favorites because I used to play quarterback as well. He's still one of my favorites today. The other one I would say probably Tyreek Hill. My size, everything like that. Just seeing him in college was really cool. But now he's like one of the top wide receivers in the world. So he's one of my favorites as well.
I love Cam Newton. We my nephew who is your age, he's had like really bad health issues. And one time he was in the hospital when Cam Newton was preparing for the draft. and he was with his quarterback coach in San Diego. And out of the eye of the media, out of everything like that, he went and was visiting the kids in the hospital. And he paid a visit to my nephew, and just has been for our family, has been amazing for him. And then later on with Carolina, when the Chargers were still in San Diego, he got him onto the field, and literally right before the kickoff, came running over and gave him a hug and gave him his gloves. And so Cam is just a great guy, and he's meant a lot to our family. So that's cool to hear. What about your favorite hobby or things that you like to do outside of football?
Outside of football, I love video games. That's one of my favorite things. Besides video games, I love making clothes. I'm into fashion, so I sew. I make my own clothes, and my uncle got me into painting as well. He has paintings in the world of Coca-Cola in Georgia, so he's really got me into painting as well. I'm just I love being an artistic guy, so even making my own clothes and stuff like that is really, really entertaining to me.
I mean, is there any way that people could look at any of the clothes that you've made, or be able to see any of that?
I've made clothes. I haven't really been posting them, but I've made one thing that really people would probably like is I made a tapestry blanket. I made it into a sweatshirt. Me and my friend, she helped me out, and I made a tapestry sweatshirt. It's really nice.
That is incredibly creative. Yeah, that's incredible. Great job. Thank you so much for those questions.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Jordan, we want to thank you for taking the time. We definitely appreciate it. I know you're busy with a lot of things going on, so always appreciate you taking the time. We look forward to seeing you open up Snapdragon in the fall.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me on the show. Really. Thank you.
All right, Paul. We had two great interviews, starting with Patrick McMorris. I had a day job commitment, so I had to unfortunately miss that one. So appreciate you taking that one solo. What were your main takeaways from talking to him?
Main takeaways is he, I think, has the right approach to continue the growth that everyone keeps talking about. There's sometimes a problem when you're a little bit too analytical about yourself, a little bit too detached from what's going on, or where you kind of study yourself and analyze yourself too much instead of just living it. And I think that he shows a really good humility and living in what he's doing, appreciating what he's going through. And I think that's going to set him up for future success. I thought it was interesting that he's focused on becoming better in pass coverage. And I think that given the fact that they lost Trenton Thompson a year ago, who, played a lot and covered a lot in the slot, that's a good sign for the Aztecs. But, that was a very good interview, very honest, very open. As long as he can stay healthy, I expect big things from him this upcoming year.
Yeah, that overanalyzation, isn't that what we're supposed to do as journalists?
Right.
The players play and we overanalyze, all the stats and all the performances. But I agree with you. I think he definitely has the right approach. He's a humble dude. But he knows his importance to the defense and what he needs to do, becoming a more vocal leader, making sure the communication between not just the guys in the secondary, but with the linebackers and the defensive line is good, because, we saw, even though the defense played so well last year, we saw some breakdowns in the secondary, and they gave up some, big passing plays, especially later in the season. Nevada, UNLV, Utah State, obviously. So I think that's their main area for the defense to clean up is going to be, eliminating those that miscommunication that led to some of those big plays. If there's anyone I have utmost confidence in on that defense heading into 2022, it's him for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think in the recap article for the season, I talked about that the defense had a chance to be historic, but what prevented them primarily from being historic were the big plays that you mentioned. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can reduce those, at least have somebody covering the people who are going deep. And they might not be as good in other places potentially, but you eliminate that big mistake and there's a lot of growth for the defense that's possible. I do think that, as you just hit on, it's an interesting, the right word. I think it's a critical component, being able to communicate, know where everyone is supposed to be. You don't see it in the box score. You don't see it you can't pinpoint it, but I think you're going to be missing that from some of the veteran leadership that they had. And it's, a great time for him to be going into his second year starting. Darius Barfield, has had plenty of time. He's been starting. The corners have been starting now for a couple of years. So you hope that their comfort level will be there. I still am a little bit unsure if they have that top corner, if Des Malone being able to get into the conversation. I don't know who that speaks more of. Does it speak more from a guy who's a safety who could kind of cover well? Okay, let's move him to corner, to now he's in the mix to being the starter. Does that say more about him and how special he could be at that position? Or does that say more about the rest of the people? So I think there's still a lot of work to be done, but as long as McMorris is anchoring it, I think that you can just see his impact. I mean, the team in the spring game that couldn't move the ball was the team that he was defending. Utah was basically left for dead.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do anything offensively. And then he gets that targeting penalty and they come alive late. Coincidence? Maybe. But I think that his importance to the defense is unmatched. And the Aztecs are fortunate that somebody as skillful as him is manning that position.
I loved how he described that Barfield interception during the spring game, about how he was like, don't throw the slant. He knows it's coming. And they threw the slant, and he obviously tipped it and picked it off. Between Barfield, McMorris, and Baskerville, I think they're about as talented as a trio as you can get. But I think you're hit it on the money about the corners. If the corners struggle and the safeties have to basically help them cover outside receivers, that's not going to give those three guys the best opportunity to make plays all over the field in the run game, over the middle, things like that. So, yeah, that's true. As good as those three are, they're really going to be able to shine based on how well the guys on the outside cover. So, yeah, that's going to be I think that's the biggest key going into the fall. Obviously, you got to see who replaces Cameron Thomas's production, but I think they can scheme around that. It's hard to scheme around, just not have corners not being able to cover man-to-man, right? Obviously, you can scheme it, but your scheming is basically bringing people over to help in that case. So it's cool. The one thing I did want to point out, watching that or listening to that interview, I think he set the record for the longest pauses between answering a question in the rapid fire section. I don't know if I've heard anyone agonize more over who the right answer in their favorite musical artist.
That's a smart man.
I think my editing skills is going to do a disservice of how long he actually took to answer that, because he didn't want to say the wrong answer. He ended up with Tupac, which is never the wrong answer, obviously. Never. But I thought listening to that interview, I was cracking up, because you could tell he was agonizing over that answer after nailing every other question about football, and then suddenly he posed with this question that he took him probably over a minute to answer, or maybe not. Close to a minute. But I thought that was fun. I was cracking up when I was listening to that interview.
Yeah, when he finally arrived back at Tupac, I was honestly a little bit surprised, only because that would feel like a generally an obvious answer or something you would come to quickly. But I like that he really wanted to get that right. And no, it was a great interview, and he was very generous with his answers, and it was good to get that going. What did you take from Jordan Byrd?
I think the main thing was why did he want to come back for one more year? I think he gave almost the same answer that Chance Bell did about, the job's not finished, want to win 22. Said the right things in that regard. There was, with Greg Bell gone, there is an opening there, right? And I think that with Chance Bell and Byrd, I think that gave them a window and more of a inclination to say, I want to come back and I want to have a chance to be that lead guy. So I think that was cool. And also him talking about his camp. I know by the time this episode comes out, his camp has already happened. But, this is the first year, right? He's going to have this, I think, hopefully every year. And giving back to his community in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I think shows the type of person he is and how he wants to give back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say that I thought that was a really good part of the interview. I think the people's response to the little promotion of that we put out in connection with that interview, I think really showed like who he is and how highly he's thought of. The article that is being written about it is just, I want to really look into what his NFL chances are, because, for whatever reason, he going into this final season, I think there is always going to be this question of, did the Aztecs get the most out of him? This has been their biggest home run threat for every year he's been on campus. Going back to, that pitch at Boise State where and they couldn't move the ball at all. And the issue that keeps coming up, I think, for him, and as far as his professional potential, is that there's not a lot of feature backs. And I mean, that's what we asked him about, and so how does he get into the passing lanes? What does he do to kind of separate himself and showcase himself for that next level? The offense can become way better if they can figure out a way to get Jordan Byrd the ball in space and allow him to run. And they just haven't figured it out. And much smarter people than me, that's their job and that's what they're doing. But I think that both for his long-term career and for the next season, getting more into that passing tree, being able to be more than just catching the ball on a screen, or handing off is like the two ways that you utilize him, I think is something that I don't know if he has it in his game. It's just not something that we've seen. But if he's able to get into crossing routes, if he's able to at least, be a little bit of a deep threat, I think that can really open up things for the offense, because the guy is he's just dynamic. I mean, he's a home run threat waiting to happen. And I just don't know that many of them, anywhere else on the team. I mean, we haven't seen TJ Sullivan, and we've heard about his, great ability to stretch the field and do that. And so maybe that's what he turns into. I don't think we're expecting to see much of Josh Nicholson, but that's not Jesse Matthews' game. Jesse Matthews is not a guy who's going to catch, a 10-yard out and turn it into 80. I don't think Tyrell Shavers, that's his game either. So they're both really good at what they do. The Aztecs need them. But if you're looking for somebody who's going to take it to the house, right, that was Greg Bell and Jordan Byrd. And even Chance Bell has not really shown that ability to do that. And so I think going into next year, that's what they're going to need to figure out. How do they, or maybe put another way, I think maybe their offense is going to be as good as their ability is to figure out how to get 15 the ball in space.
The fact that he's played 45 games over 4 seasons and has 0 receiving touchdowns shocks me.
Yeah.
I thought, I was looking at the stats and I thought maybe in his freshman, sophomore year, he caught a pass for a touchdown. Nope, nothing. And that's really surprising. He was quick to point out when we asked him about catching passes out of the backfield that he also played wide receiver in high school. So he's at least ran routes in that regard. So we're going to see. Yeah, I think every time he caught the ball, it was a screen pass. And I think there was like 3 defenders ready to tackle him.
Yeah.
The minute he caught the pass, because they knew he's in the game. It's 2nd down and long or 3rd down and long. They're probably going to throw a screen. And guess what? The linebackers and the defensive ends were right there.
Yep.
And that's clearly hasn't worked with Jordan. But, running motion out and running a slant from the slot or a quick out, something like that, I can see that becoming more of a weapon that they could use for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know how exactly that is, but I mean, they would try to, in the 2-back sets, they would try to use them in kind of the RPO game. But to your point, the defense had run the football. Like you're there, we're gonna put bodies wherever 15 is, and we're gonna trust that we're gonna be able to stop it on the backside. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what the recipe is, but that's why I was saying, like, if he can get downfield a little bit, because then if you put 3 players there, but you're thinking that he can get deep, then he can catch the screen still, and you got that space in between. But it's it's the idea of saying, okay, how do the Aztecs have a great offense and not just a good offense? And I think that the expectations from Jeff Hecklinski, I think what we saw in flashes, especially the bowl game, is the potential to be a really good offense. And it's what 15 can bring. He's just a difference maker. And I don't know exactly why it is that he hasn't caught a receiving touchdown, but I mean, he's never caught 15 passes in a season, I don't believe. And so it's like, you're just, you can't, you would think that he could just kind of by accident have broken one or something like that. But it's the same old thing where if we get through this year and Jordan Byrd is just flashing that brilliance. I mean, you still are of the same question about, okay, if he's not able to catch passes, then doesn't he need to get 150 carries instead of 30? Because he's just that dynamic. I mean, you got to get the ball in his hands because he's a home run threat. And, you can't, as much as you might want to, it's really difficult to march the ball down the field and put up 40 points a game, 30 points a game. It's really difficult to do that. But again, I think he talked about, Snapdragon and the excitement that surrounded that. He talked about playing in San Diego again. And I mean, it's the same thing that we've been hearing from these players about how exciting this upcoming season is. And, we did touch on the influx of running backs, that they play for each other. And it'll be interesting to see how that breaks down because, he wants to gain 10 pounds, gets 180. If Chance Bell reaches his goal and starts playing close to 200, I mean, it'll be interesting how the carries are broken down and how Jeff Horton, arranges the depth chart.
So in 2019, he had 16 receptions.
Oh, I thought there was a 16 there.
For 64 yards total, 4 yards a catch, which with his speed, that makes no sense to me. In 37 receptions in 4 years, his longest was 20 yards.
Yeah.
So that has to change. And I think we both agree with it. The coaches will agree with it as well. I think it's not a secret of that. You mentioned an influx. So let's talk about Keenan Kristen.
Okay.
Local San Diego product who decided to go play at USC. Played 2 years. Was suspended most of this 2021 season for an altercation. Don't know much of the story behind that, but it was enough for USC to suspend him after the first game of the season for the rest of the season. And now he's transferred to San Diego State. I don't know too much about him. I didn't follow him when he was a local San Diego kid. I don't know if you did, but what are your initial thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I like about it is that he's young. He's not coming in here as a one-time transfer like Braxton Burmeister is, where he either performs this year or it's kind of like a waste. You're just kind of like, what the hell? What's going to matter? He's there for the long haul. I mean, I don't know what he brings this year.
Right.
I don't. The little bit that I have looked into during the time that it was happening, when the incident at USC happened, it seemed to be something that he apologized for, again, I don't know the details. You don't want to like label a judgment on it or anything like that, because it's always a little bit difficult to know the ins and outs from it. But listening to what it said, it didn't sound like there was much to it. And he apologized for it, and then they just kind of ran with it. And I a lot of times people, they'll talk about their innocence, and then there's some crazy video that comes out that you're like, oh my God, what were how could you have even considered it? But so looking into the incident, a lot of times people will say that they're innocent, and then a tape will come out, and you can't even believe that you even gave any credence to the idea that nothing happened, or that it was just something that got blown out of the water from the media. But I think, just to his credit, he stuck around and fought for his rights, and fought and said, look, this is something that is not right, and I'm going to make sure that I'm okay, that everyone knows that, but on the field, I think it's another, just, man, I life is challenging, if COVID has taught us anything, it's that. And sometimes you just need to stay close to the people who know you best, and who is your support network, and who can just allow you while you're doing this hard thing of football to be able to live life. And so I think guys, leaving San Diego, running into issues, and then coming back and being able to excel is really good for San Diego State, being able to get people maybe the first time, and to go and say, why am I going to leave my support network when like this is what's happening here? So I think that's a good thing for the program. I do, as I said before, I like that he's young and he has the ability to play multiple years, because they're going to lose Jordan Byrd. They're losing Chance Bell.
Yeah.
And then what? I mean, do you really feel comfortable having the next group of people be guys who have never taken any snaps in college? And so I look at this as being something more for next year and down the road than necessarily for this season, in terms like the featured back. Like, he could return kicks, things like that. But I'm not really convinced that I know we always think SC comes in. Hey, I'm not really convinced that this guy's going to be able to just walk in and be better than Chance Bell and be better than Jordan Byrd.
Knowing Brady Hoke, I would have to imagine that San Diego State did their due diligence on that incident, and were happy with what they heard, found out, investigated. So I'm not too worried about that either. I agree. He has elite speed, right? He's a track guy. He's got elite speed. He's up there with Jordan Byrd. If Jordan Byrd had not returned this year, his fit would be a lot more impactful, I think, in 2022. But I agree with you. I don't know where he fits this season, because he's not big enough to be, to me, from the little I've seen from him and read, I don't think he's an every down back, a workhorse like that. He did have a couple games where he got, 15 to 20 carries at SC. So he did do that. So he brings experience to a group that doesn't have a ton of experience outside of Chance Bell and Jordan Byrd. So those are positives for sure. And special teams, obviously, he can stand next to Jordan Byrd in the kickoff return, and who are you going to kick it to, right? So those are all really good positives. With one scholarship remaining, I was surprised that it was used on a running back, a non every down running back versus an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. I did think that they would have gone after a guy in the trenches with that last scholarship spot. Now, maybe there's scholarship players that are transferring out that they're aware of, and maybe another scholarship opens up. But I was surprised that it ended up being a running back it's not an every down guy. And I'm also curious how many years of eligibility he has, right? He's got at least 2. But what happens with if your team suspends you, can you technically use a red shirt for that? And so does he have 3 years left? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if you do, Paul. But he
hasn't redshirted. He hasn't redshirted. So I think he can use that as his redshirt year. Even
if you're suspended by your team?
Believe so, yes.
Okay. So then he would have 3 years, which then probably does become a more long-term play than if he only had 2 years. But yeah, it's never a bad thing to sign to get a guy that has elite speed, a hometown guy. could do a lot of good things. It's just, I was surprising that that spot was used for a running back.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had said from the get-go how they chose to use those kind of final scholarships was going to be, really indicative of where they think the offensive line is. I've said repeatedly that I agree with you that I think they should have added, one more just for depth. And they did. They had a walk-on guy come on who is a junior college player, has played and might have that ability to be able to be that depth piece. But we said all along, like if they don't add anybody, it's because they actually think that their line can be good. And so I think that maybe they're kind of showing their hand that way. I think that the smart part about this is what we've kind of been discussing is you can't go in there into the following season into, 2023. And, you have Jalen Armstead, who I don't know how many carries he's going to get this year, 2 probably redshirt freshmen. Maybe Lucky Sutton is able to not have to redshirt this year. But he's not, wherever he's at. I mean, obviously if him or Sheldon Canley is a star, that changes the dynamic of everything, but who knows how many carries they're going to get. So if you were going into 2023 and you were thinking to yourself, okay, we're going to have to go out and get a running back in the junior college or somebody or a transfer, I think it's way better to have a guy like this who can season himself in the program, get everything going in the right direction. And, you also, I mean, just profiling people. I mean, you got Cam Davis, right? He's got that Jordan Byrd type speed, who going back to the interview, I thought it was hilarious when he's saying, I'm too old, I don't race.
Yeah, 22-year-old saying I'm too old.
Come on, man. I was hoping that you just how humble of a kid he is, the bravado of like, yeah, I think everyone says I'm the fastest player on the team. Well, I don't know anymore, right? I mean, this guy is Keenan Christian is a man. He's fast. I mean, if you watch his track stuff, it's impressive. But he would profile into some of those 2-back things. He would profile into, finding into Jordan Byrd's role. Right. And so I think that's smart. It's smart to get somebody who can play that role. And instead of like having somebody else coach them and hope that what they're coaching them in fits with what the Aztecs are doing, they're going to get that opportunity here. And, let's just say what it is. I mean, if this is the best back, he's going to play. I mean, the coaching staff had no issue when Greg Bell showed himself to be the best runner to say, yeah, he just got here above these guys, but he's better. And he's going to be our lead back. So if he's better, then he's going to get that opportunity. I have my doubts whether or not he is going to be able to just right away come in and be better than 2 guys who have been in the program for a long time and been really good players for the Aztecs.
Yeah. One last comment on him. We were talking about, the lack of receptions for Jordan Byrd and touchdowns. I mean, he had 13 catches for 126 yards and 3 touchdowns at USC. Now, I don't know whether those were, screens that he just had, gaping hole and ran, over, wide open, or if they were routes that he ran out of the backfield. I haven't looked at that, and I will look at that in the coming weeks. But, just that, if that he can help unlock that part of the offense, could be a big factor too.
Without question. And I don't think that it's lost on Aztec Nation as they've been looking at his highlights that his big game came against Arizona.
Yeah.
The Aztecs' first opponent. So, I mean, his averages per carry, his average per reception is high, but you also want to, I think there should be a little bit of caution. He is at SC during a time when, they haven't been phenomenal. They're recruiting in terms of like levels and things like that were a lot closer to San Diego State's level of recruiting than people are used to. Numerous recruits during that era chose San Diego State over USC. I don't necessarily think that it's just like a plug and play kind of a situation. And Chance Bell and Jordan Byrd are definitely going to be excited to compete, because both of those guys said they have aspirations to be in the NFL. And if you have aspirations to be in the NFL, then you shouldn't be afraid of a guy coming in and competing with you for some runs from carries this year.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed the interviews and our discussion on the newest Aztec. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of the above. And we'll talk to you guys next time. You are listening to the SDSU Football Podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your hosts Andre Hagverdian and Paul Garrison.